Hello, hello, everyone. We're going to be doing the optional tarot spreads for week 3. So we are module 6, 000. I realized in doing the week 2 spreads that right now I'm going to continue doing it in that same format where I shuffle in the beginning and then I let the cards play out that way. I feel like that doing it that way in and of itself kind of proves the blueprint, like in a little but profound way, because as you do this, you shuffle, you put the intention, you put the deck down, right? And you look at the questions before. Don't just do it blind. Go in and look at the energy, right? Shuffle up the cards, and then as you flip, you're showing yourself, oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, that makes sense. But realize you shuffled and you put it there before. You can choose 3 or 4 cards. You can choose 1 card. It's still going to give you the right answer. What does that show? The blueprint. So I'm going to keep doing it this way for now. So module 6, 000, before week 3, the descent into remembering. This spread marks the moment where the souls, and see how I'm kind of shuffling and putting the energy in as I'm reading? Do that. Read through it. Put your energy into the cards. Allow yourself. It's more than just like a woo-woo, put your energy into the cards. It's my brain, my hands are busy, so I'm not fidgeting. And because it's almost like my body is concentrating on this, and this is in alignment with what I'm about to do. So it allows me to go subconsciously deeper. I'm distracting my active mind as I read. I'm taking in that deeper. I'm also, my intention is to put my energy into the cards, right? So I believe that is happening. So my belief in that also heightens self-trust, because you're like, okay, I'm showing myself that this is going to align with that, and I believe it. And then when it does, you're like, oh, I must be where I need to be, because for all of these things to be aligning, I have to be on the right track. Even if I'm not where I want to be, I'm where I need to be in order to get there. And then the spread itself and the answers helps you see how to get from there to the next place. So it invites you to face the descent, not as something that happened to you, but as something that initiated you. Every collapse, loss, or silence was an invitation to remember what you had forgotten. This is where you began learning the language of descension, how to see meaning in the breaking, how to listen for wisdom in what fell apart, and how to find light inside of the dark. Okay. And you can sit here and you can choose a number before, you can choose a number in the moment. How many times do I want to split this? Because even that is going to make a big difference in your reading. Once again, showing you alignment. Or showing you the answers to questions that you didn't know, that in asking them, it would bring you further into alignment. It's like you don't know what you don't know about what you need to know about yourself until you know it. And then you're like, wow, I see myself differently now, but I didn't know that was an option. Okay, the fall. What part of my life or identity is asking to be seen for what it truly was rather than what I wanted it to be? What part of my life or identity is asking to be seen for what it truly was, bringing something of value, bringing something buildable, expandable, something that people actually will care about? You could also say, what part of your life, I'm trying to answer this not only from my perspective, but from potentially however you would read this card as well, right? So what part of my life or identity is asking to be seen for what it truly was? Value. Either value in what you went through, because we're talking about the descent, so there's some kind of rock bottom. So either descent in what you went through, or descent in, or value in your ability to hold it together, or your ability to fall apart and then get it back together, whatever it was, right? the value in self. Like she's looking down at the pentacle, it's shiny, it's going to reflect her image back to her. So some kind of self-value. So what part of life or identity is asking to be seen for what it truly was? Seeing yourself as valuable is not cocky. It's not wrong. It's a requirement to receive, knowing that you're worthy. So rather than what I wanted it to be. So with the Ace of Wands in reverse, this is a false start. So just because things didn't work out the first go around, or they didn't work out due to original plan, does not mean that there was not still value in it. That's how I would interpret that. The forgotten self. What version of me was lost or silenced during that fall, and what does that self still need from me now? Seven of Wands with Six of Wands in reverse. So a loss of boundaries or unsuccessful boundaries. So the version that overgave came out in order to silence worth. Because remember, we're still building on that. So my phone just fell on the ground. So we're still building on that. And when everything falls on the ground, right, when this loss occurs, when this failure or perceived failure occurs, not reframing the mindset to say, oh, well, I'm a failure, so I must overgive now in order to receive. Or people walked away from me, so I need to abandon myself so they don't abandon me in the future. So looking at yourself as worthy would be something that would reprogram this previous lost or silenced version. And what does that self still need from me now? Boundaries. Proper boundaries. Let me get this down a bit. Okay, the lesson beneath the rubble. What truth or strength was being forged through the destruction of what I once called stability? Some things must end so others can begin. What truth was being forged, that space must be made so a new beginning can occur. What strength was being forged, letting go of what's not in your best interest. And then look, when he turns around, he's seeing these upright cups and the Fool. So the opportunity to go forward. Right through the hard time, but using that in a way that is now more prone to growth instead of destruction. Because he can already see, he can see this whole scene. And the interesting card just drove by. The Fool can see this whole scene. So this guy, he's like, oh man, everything went bad. Nothing to do now. If he turned around, he would see this. The Fool has the perspective of this whole scene. He is also seeing this guy see this and not this. So in this instance, the Fool, what strength was being forged through this destruction was the ability to see what's possible because of it. That makes sense? Hold on 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to reshuffle this because I had to turn the camera off. The next card is Four of Wands, which is fun. But I'm going to shuffle these again because life happens. If you do it this way and something comes up, I wanted to check my internet because it looked like I was lagging. But if something comes up and you have to stop and do it later and you want to reshuffle the deck, don't think that just because you set that intention in the beginning that you can't change it if something comes up. Go with the flow, but that's your intention from the beginning. Okay, so we are at the root of becoming. Where does my body still carry the memory of the descent, and what practice will help me release its weight? Five of Wands in reverse. So it's the opposite of tension. So I guess I would say inability to really sit still. So where does my body still carry this descent? difficulty in relaxing, difficulty in knowing that stillness can be peace, and what practice will help me release its weight. So mind, body, spirit, but pentacles is like effort, right? So grounding, mind, body, spirit, alignment, just allowing the mind to find some way to accept relaxation, finding a way to, when the body starts to not relax, how to bring it back on track, and find a way to not shame the self when relaxing, that emotional part of it as well. The return point. What guidance is my soul offering as I begin to build from truth rather than illusion? I mean, that's the answer to the question. That rest does not mean anxiety. Rebuild truth rather than illusion. The illusion, rest is bad. Look, they're both resting and they're back to back, right? This one is a lot more peaceful looking than this one. This one cannot lay down in rest. This one has their hands there, maybe a little bit working on the acceptance of it, but more so than this one that just can't even lay down. So rest does not mean you're failing. It does not mean that you're off track. It's part of the package. It's part of the process. And then the reflection prompt is, this week, I'm learning that the fall was not the end. It was the moment my soul began to remember. Oh, I meant to take 2, but I got 3. That actually worked out good. Healing from internal and external betrayal. By this would go with this alignment that we just had. So grounding and rest is creating space for this seed to then be nurtured to flowering. So space and rest are not proof of failure. It's part of the plan because it's the space needed to nurture the seed of growth. So the fall was not the end. It was the moment my soul began to remember that rest and release isn't proof of failure. It's proof and evidence of space created, which means that growth will fill the space. If you do not rush to fill the space with something else before growth, aka the seed, has time to bud or flower. So that is the opening spread. We'll come back at the end of the week for rebuilding from the ashes, the after spread. See you in the next one.